What's up and what's going on, y'all? This is Al, and these are just my thoughts. It is 2026, and I'm seeing it seems and appears that there are still a lot of delivery drivers in the gig game. We're talking about UBEREATS, we're talking about DoorDash, we're talking about Grubhub, uh, etc. And I can tell you that me, from personal experience, from doing this in 21 to 2026 or 2025, I can basically tell you walking away was the best option for myself, uh, in order to get your mind right, get your body back in shape, things of that nature, um, and just walk away from the apps altogether. I never relied on the apps for anything. It was always a side hustle for me. But in the beginning, it was a fun side hustle. I was making good money. We all were in 2021. And that's history, right? If you walked in and got on board, if you happen to be lucky enough to get these apps under your belt in 2021, then you were in a gold rush, sort of say. The money was gold, right? In my area, we always talking about markets. And in my area, the market was great, from just the food game to the grocery game. Money was made. And we're talking about good money. Good turnover. I'll leave it at that. It was good turnover, I'll tell you that. But as the years progressed, and y'all all know, if you were still doing it from that time up to now, some of you guys are still doing it. You already know where I'm going. The money just started getting dry. Of course, you have new people daily checking in to the apps and coming on board. So that is the reason why the apps don't fall. They don't fold, because you're going to still have people coming in that are new. And the apps know this. This is the reason why why they're not worrying about having to do anything to keep drivers on board. The pay is what it is. It's $2, maybe $4, and it hasn't changed a bit, right? After 2022, that is where it stayed, and it never moved. The needle never moved. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've read that some apps where it has even dropped even lower, right? But it's weird listening to people that create content about this and then talk about the orders that they take. And I laugh but not laugh like it's funny. I laugh like I can't believe that this is what drivers are actually taking, because when we were doing this, we didn't think about a $9 run. We looked at that and took it off our phone with no problem, right? That was not going to be picked up. Anything that we were doing back then was anywhere between 15 and 15 plus. And that was the money that you needed, because it took care of everything. Gas, maintenance on your car, right? Like I said, if you was in a good market, that money was great to be making, because if something happened where you need an oil change, tires, tune-up, battery, something happened with your battery, right? Because we do, all those things can take place. Front end, something can happen with your front end, with your wheel alignment or anything. The money was there, and you was able to take care of it with no problem. Today, and even 2025, I just told myself, when I had my car giving me issues, right? I had a used car that I paid cash for, because I made so much good money in 2021 that I went and bought me a used vehicle so I can keep on doing the deliveries, because I first jumped in and I was only going to do the deliveries long enough to take care of a goal. I wanted to do some remodeling around the house, and when I realized that the money was this good, I said, okay, then this is what I'm going to use the money for. So I paid cash and got those things done in my house. I should have stopped at that time, but I didn't know any better, so I figured it was going to keep going, and I didn't want to use my actual vehicle anymore, so I said, okay, I'm going to buy me a used one, and that is what I'll use to make these deliveries. But in 2022, that's when the rug was pulled from beneath our feet and the money dried up, and we had to learn how to now grab more apps. So basically in 21, I basically used UBEREATS. That was it. And then I had Grubhub, of course, and I had the app, a local app down here called Favor. I rarely use Grubhub and I rarely use Favor, right? Because UBEREATS was just doing such a great job, right? As far as the orders, the app was easy to read. It took me to the addresses that I had to go. There was no bugs in it. It was perfect. I had no issues. So I was good with that. But in 22, all of a sudden, UBEREATS started sending us these 3s, these 4s, and these 5s, and we thought it was a glitch. Remember that? Everybody that was new to it thought it was a glitch. So I thought it was a glitch, right? And I said, this can't keep going. But what was it doing? It definitely kept going. And then we had to grab other apps, and we had to get into the grocery game. We had to actually put ourselves in areas where we felt the money was going to be good. Right? You couldn't just go out in town anymore, just drive around, and then you just picking up orders, and no matter where you got them from, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, anything, the numbers were great. We saw great numbers. So when that happened and we realized the numbers wasn't great anymore, that is when we had to add more apps. And like I said, I had mine. I just had to open them up, right? So, and that was the other thing. It was so good that you had so much freedom that even if you didn't use the app in months, right? When you wanted to log on, as long as you remember your password, you was in. They didn't look for you. They didn't hold you and say, hey, you've been with us all this time, so guess what? You're not on the app anymore. None of that stuff was taking place, right? None of that stuff was taking place. So I logged back in and I was back on the app like I never left, right? And I jumped into the grocery game, so I was making good money. But in 26, it's just different, right? To see people talking about the orders that they're taking and the money that they're making. I ask myself, is these real? Are these people really serious that they're taking these runs? Because I got to tell you, it just doesn't seem like it's nothing but busy work. It doesn't seem like you're actually able to accomplish, earn, right? It doesn't feel like you're actually making anything with this, because how could you when you have to be out from dusk to dawn and then some, right? Even in the midnight hour just to make a good earn. That's a lot of miles. That's a lot of wear and tear on your vehicle. And like I said, I've been in this, so I know what it's like. And I gave it up mainly because I wasn't going to pay the money to get that used car repaired. I had a problem with the transmission. And one day I'm driving, next thing I know, I start seeing these lights flicker. It was going reverse, neutral, drive. The car started jerking. I was like, oh my God, what in the world just happened? So basically, I knew it had to be the transmission. I got it looked at, and sure enough, that's what it was. So I told myself, okay, that's a wrap as far as this goes, that I'm not doing it anymore. Of course, I had another used car at the house, so I did groceries with it, but I did not 100% give myself to it anymore. I just decided that it was done. That's a wrap. And like I said, since I walked away from it, I can tell you that it is a great feeling. I'm a retiree, so my living expenses are well taken care of, and then some, right? As far as retirement goes, I'm good. I'm in a good lane. I don't have any issue. Matter of fact, not even bragging, but I'm driving a 2026 Chevy Tahoe Z71. Just traded in my 2024 for the 2026, right? So I'm in a good lane money-wise. But as far as the delivery game, I just could not see that as doing a side hustle with it anymore, because it just doesn't make sense to do it. Wear and tear to the body. So many variables come with the delivery game that is not even funny, right? Delivering to customers that either don't understand what drivers go through, right? The apps, really, as long as you don't ruffle any feathers or cause any waves with them, you don't have to worry about getting deactivated, right? But the only problem is, if something does happen, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be the scapegoat, right? You're going to be the fall guy, because the apps are going to protect their brand and they need customers. Drivers are a dime a dozen, right? Just as fast as one of us quit, another driver comes in. And that is true, because I haven't driven, like I said, in almost a year now, right? And they haven't texted me, no phone calls. I'll tell you this though, I do get emails, right, where they're saying, like Uber will say something, some kind of offer they're offering, or Favor will say something or something like that. But as far as, hey, where you been? We haven't noticed you online in a while. Everything okay? Things like that. Nothing like that, right? So that lets you know, out of sight, out of mind. They can care less, because you're just a tool. And if that tool, which is the driver, stops working for them, they just grab another tool. Grab another one just like you, and here you go. You got keys? Yep. You got a car? Yep. You got a driver's license? Yep. All right. You got a phone? Yep. Okay. We're going to send you orders. Just don't screw it up. Just don't screw it up, right? And that is how it works. So, again, like I said, man, since I walked away from this, it's been actually just not even what you consider a weight off your shoulder, because it was never that serious to me. But I could tell you, though, when I flash back and think about it, I say, do you understand that since 2021 to 2025, you rarely took a day off from doing deliveries? Because it was so easy. It was so easy. And I don't play basketball anymore. I don't play softball anymore. So the things that I don't do anymore, I let the delivery game take up that time, right? If I was still in sports and things like that, I probably never would have been doing deliveries, because you just wasn't going to mess with that. I'm going to play my games. But once I started getting older and I couldn't do them anymore, that is when I realized that it was just time to, get into the delivery game. I lost my train of thought because somebody was just outside my truck saying something to me. But anyway, just saying that in a nutshell, that since I stopped doing it, basically it's been a good lane in my life, right? Just not putting up with the BS of lowball. And of course, you're going to have content creators saying this, and why you're not getting that, and why you're not doing that. You just have to see the common sense, man. If you're a common sense thinker, then, and you're a reality, it's a reason why you're getting the numbers you're getting. It's because the apps and the customers are not paying drivers. That's basically in a nutshell. It has nothing to do with an AR. It has nothing to do with you turning down orders and they're going to punish you and all that. Orders are orders. And if people want service, they're either going to pay for it or they're not. And if you're the kind of person that wants the numbers to be making sense to you when you accept an order, then you're going to do it. But if it doesn't, then you're not going to do it. And that was me. I couldn't see myself taking a $5, $6, $7, or $8 run for somebody. I wasn't going to, I didn't even touch 9 hardly, right? To get me to move for a 10 was cutting it close, right? Because I'm used to seeing better money than that, right? I'm used to seeing better money than those numbers. So there was no way I was going to do those type of deliveries anymore. And I just got away from it. I had more days of just sitting out there twiddling my thumbs because I was turning away orders so much. Just turning away orders so much. And I just realized that it was time to walk away from it. And I just said, what are we doing here? Every day is the same. It never changes, right? You never know what you're going to make. You can't tell anybody for sure that you're going to make at least $75 for that day. When you can't tell people that, that is when you know that it is dry. In 21 and even in 22, I can almost guarantee myself at least, in 21, I guarantee myself almost $400 a day, right? Almost $400 a day, no 12 hours. We're not driving 12 hours to see that type of money. We're doing $400 a day basically within 5 to 6 hours. You get up at 6 o'clock, you probably be done between 1 and 2. And if you're in the right space and you're in the right area where people are taking orders and getting them, you're going to see that type of money by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to see it. Guarantee. That is how well it was paying. Depending on your market. I was in a good market. But after that, you know, seeing those type of numbers, that's why the apps will never fail, because drivers are always going to come in and they're not going to understand what the money's supposed to be like. They're going to think that's normal. That is why you see drivers say they taking $5 and $6 runs, $7 runs, $8 runs, because that is the normal type of number that you see mostly with the apps now, right? You're not going to see 25. You're not going to see 15 to being low. You're not going to see a 20. You rarely see those numbers anymore. And if you do see them, what do people do? They post it real quick on the apps. I mean, they post it real quick on YouTube because it's like a diamond in the rough. And then everybody starts clapping and giving them applause and stuff like that, like they just hit a home run. And for the most part, you did. You found the golden goose. It's almost like you went to the slot machines at a casino and you pulled the handle, and guess what? You hit all sevens. So you got paid. But take that back to 21. Those numbers right there, that was normal. That was normal. So, again, like I said, man, since we walked away from it, left it alone, basically it's been like a breath of fresh air for a year. Just getting back to normalcy, man. Getting back to normalcy. So, with that said, I'm out. Hopefully, I said something in here that you understood where I was coming from. It's just shooting it from my head. This isn't scripted. I didn't think about it. I just started talking. So this is just me letting you know what it's been like since I walked away from the gig game. With that said, I'm out. Peace.